It's Saturday, it's 10:30, Gazzetta Football Italia. Hiya. Well, I've had a great week, especially in the derby, but you can see more about the derby highlights later. First this.
Coming up, a peek behind the scenes of the big Roman derby. Your first chance to see the Gazzetta goal that made him a Lazio hero. And Paul Gascoigne's own views on that memorable performance. James Richardson goes behind the headlines to bring us all the week's news. There's your chance to win a dream trip to the Italian Cup final. All the goals from last Sunday's Serie A. Gazza rounds up news of his emotional week. James Richardson has been to Florence to talk to the man on whom Fiorentina are pinning their hopes, Denmark's Brian Laudrup.
Well, as you well know, I've made a bit of a name of myself this week in the derby, and yeah, is how it all happened.
It's shortly before midday on Sunday the 25th of November, Derby Day in Rome. As the Lazio squad prepares to depart for the big game, supporters from all over the city are converging at the Stadio Olimpico on the banks of the Tiber for the 125th meeting of SS Lazio and AS Roma. Few derbies are more keenly felt than the one between Rome's two clubs, and with both teams floundering in the league so far this season, it's become especially important to salvage some pride today at the expense of their rivals. It's supposedly the match in which Rome finds out, regardless of league position, which of its teams really is best, and 1-1 draws in all of the last four derbies don't seem to have dampened the fans' enthusiasm.
C'è solo una possibilità per loro: prendere i tavoli, chiodi e chiudere la porta, perché sennò oggi non c'è scampo.
Roma, 91esimo, autogol di Gascogne.
Well, I think that before the derby back home, they talked about it a few days before. Yeah, they've been talking for about 6 months, you know. For me, it's incredible. Now it's going to happen today, and I can only hope it can win. It's incredible. Really looking forward to it.
Indubbiamente il derby è sempre una partita sentita da tutti, da tutta la città, dagli sportivi, quindi è una partita importante e indipendentemente dalla classifica uno tiene moltissimo a vincere.
Both Lazio and Roma were predicted to challenge for honours this season, but for both teams the season so far has been marked by disappointments. Roma lie the lower of the two, 13th in Serie A, but it's at Lazio that the problems are most evident. The squad's poor ranking and record inflaming rumours that defeat today would mean an end for coach Dino Zoff's time on the Lazio bench. Victory against Roma, though, would be an ample answer to his critics.
Risponderebbe a molto, perché questa importanza, quindi riuscire a chiudere almeno per un periodo, insomma, risponderebbe a una soddisfazione grossa, a una possibilità di fare un po' la tranquillità dell'ambiente, quindi la possibilità di lavorare un po' meglio.
I think once I arrive at the stadium and hear the crowd, will be fantastic, you know. And I only hope that we can, well, see eventually, because today it's like a matter of life or death, and hopefully I'm still alive tonight.
Whatever the pressures and disappointments of the season so far, whatever the rumours about Coach Zoff's future with the club, a different kind of tension takes over now for Lazio as they leave for the game that Rome's been waiting all season for.
And a massive and deafening crowd awaits them at the Stadio Olimpico, waving banners and chanting songs about Paul Gascoigne, the meanings of which vary wildly depending on which side of the stadium you're in. The strongest support is as ever concentrated at the stadium's two ends, the Curvers. Here the blue of the Curva Nord Lazio fans, irreducibile, home of the Viking and peppered with Union Jacks. And in the red corner, the Roma faithful of the Curva Sud, the Fedain, the boys, the Vecchio cooks. As the game grows closer, the Curva Nord unfurls a giant Avanti Lazio message. Roma fans give their response, an enthusiastic and surprisingly spectacular waving of plastic bags.
Incredible excitement and noise here in the Stadio Olimpico. The atmosphere's been building 70,000 hours here. 70,000 Laziali and Romanisti packed into the stadium, waiting to see what will happen when the 22 men down there on the field start playing. Let's hand over to our commentator, Gary Bloom.
It's Paul Gascoigne's most important match in a blue Lazio shirt since his transfer to the club was first conceived more than a year ago. Gascoigne, along with Thomas Doll, are the only two foreign players in Italian football yet to be dropped by their coach. So Dino Zoff has placed a heavy burden of responsibility on the pair for a fixture which historically has produced a rash of draws. No place, though, in this Lazio team for German international Karl-Heinz Riedler, who watches from the stands. Roma dropped the Argentinian international Claudio Caniggia. The number 4 Aldair is the third choice overseas player drafted into this starting 11. Aldair scored twice for Roma in midweek in their UEFA Cup win against Galatasaray. So it's Roma to get us underway. They've lost 3 of their last 4 Serie A matches. Lazio must fancy their chances of winning this Rome derby. Hessler to Giannini, right at the start of the game. Roma playing from right to left. Bacci tries to put the Lazio coach. Good flick on by Gascoigne. Gascoigne, oh, he showed his studs to Carnevale, who no wonder Carnevale responds by trying to foul Gascoigne. And the Roma players claiming that Gascoigne used an elbow there. First of all, Gascoigne went in with his studs showing. And then as Carnevale responded, watch Gascoigne's elbow. In fact, it's his hand which makes contact. Well, that challenge has added spice to this match. Paul Gascoigne can expect no favours from the Roma players, who must be heartily sick about reading about Gascoigne in the Rome press. Here's Vinta. Still goalless. Both teams lucky to have 11 players on the field. Vinta, who despite wearing the number 9 jersey, playing in a deep line role. Gregucci is fouled. There's going to be a rash of free kicks in this game. You'd expect that. Mihailovic, no doubt waiting for a first opportunity to strike a free kick at the Lazio goal and test Fiori. But this is a free kick to Lazio. Gascoigne chips it to the back post. Good header down by Gregucci. Thomas Doll just couldn't make contact. I suspect that was one from the training ground. The ingenuity of Gascoigne, the aerial threat of Gregucci, and the quick reflexes of Doll, who fires it back in again. Aldair, splendid control. 3 is Carboni. This time tackled by Vinta. He really is one of the hard men of Italian football. Be interesting to have a look at that challenge again. Oh, just look at the left knee of Carboni there. He seems to have wrenched it out of position. And no wonder they're going to have to stretch him away. He could be out of the game for some weeks. Tremendous vocal encouragement for Lazio. Paul Gascoigne in charge now for them. Wide to Beppe Signori, who can't keep it in play. And the Roma fans will jeer Paul Gascoigne. They've read so much about him. Nervous afternoon too for the owner of Lazio, Sergio Cragnotti, watching this game from the stands to the right of your picture. Giannini. Gascoigne fouled him though, 2 number 10s clashing. This will be the first time that many of the Roma fans have actually seen Lazio. And that long-haired figure, Claudio Caniggia, the Argentinian international, unable to force his way into the Roma team for today's game. Free kick then. Now Mihailovic standing over the ball. He's to the left of Hessler. Goalkeeper had his eye on the ball the moment it left the end of Hessler's toe. A well-struck free kick, almost crept in on the near post. Crivero helping it forward. Wasn't too many goal-scoring opportunities at either end of the field in the opening 45 minutes. They certainly were at a premium. Here's Fuser. That's a terrific run. Great acceleration and great incision too when he cuts in from that right flank. And his run has earned Lazio a corner. Bacci up for this one. Dol inevitably inside the 6-yard box. But Aldair has him deep inside his pocket. Gregucci waiting in the middle. Gascoigne too! A relatively easy catch for Zinetti in the end. Both sides insisting on playing at a pace which at times outstrips their technique. Not often you can say that about Italian football. Gregucci says, I went for the ball. The referee says, yeah, but you took the man as well. There's Gregucci's uncompromising challenge. Still goalless then. Carnevale. Hessler, who's roamed... 1-0! Celebration time in the Stadio Olimpico, because Giuseppe Giannini has given them the lead. A touch of charity about the goal conceded by Dino Zoff's team. But Giannini won't worry about that. A mistake there by Crivero. Then Gregucci completely miskicks the ball, and it drops invitingly to Giannini. 1-0 Roma. Possession has been substituted, and Salzano will replace him. Salzano, the former Sampdoria player, linking it with his former boss, Boskov. Gascoigne. Here's Fuser. Fuser with a shot. Oh, that's so close to 1-1. Lazio claimed the ball crossed the goal line after it struck the underside of the bar. Referee waves play on. Oh, and then it hits the upright, courtesy of a header by Gregucci. And twice now the frame of the goal has saved Roma. Did the ball cross the line? It just might have done, you know. It really was a cynical obstruction. But Lazio just gaining in momentum as we approach the end of the game. Still Lazio 0, Roma 1. That goal by Giannini still separating the two teams. The saviour has saved Lazio! Paul Gascoigne was quoted this week as saying, the game will be a matter of life and death. I just hope to be alive on Monday. I think he will be. Tears in Turin 2 years ago, and tears again in the Stadio Olimpico, this time wearing the blue shirt of Lazio. Gascoigne hung in the air for ages when he headed that one in. He can't quite believe what's happening to him. This time the ball got clear by Rome. The two players thought that was a final whistle. But it's a free kick to Roma. Salzano. Essler deep in offside country. And we're playing stoppage time at the end of the game. Still Lazio 1, Roma 1. And it's all over. The final whistle has gone. A game which will be remembered by Paul Gascoigne's first goal in Serie A. 3 minutes from the end of the game, after his side fell behind to a Giuseppe Giannini goal just after half-time. Paul Gascoigne has written himself into Roman footballing legend with that splendid header. Final score, Lazio 1, Roma 1.
Well, as one battle ended, another commenced. The press room, the scene this time, as journalists fought to hear the players' reaction to the game and make the demands that matter.
Are you going to dedicate this goal to anybody in particular?
Close as Teddy Bear.
Across the room from Gascoigne, Dino Zoff's demeanour reflected the sadness of another disappointing Lazio performance. Roma too had their share of regrets.
È chiaro che un po' di delusione c'è da parte nostra, perché prendere gol subito a 2 minuti dalla fine, quando credevi di aver vinto, dà un po' fastidio. Diciamo che un po' di colpa è anche nostra, perché i gol vengono per sempre demerito delle difese o della squadra, però è stato molto bravo anche lui a fare gol di testa.
Credevo di trovare una Lazio più forte, e invece si è vista una Roma determinata, una Roma che ha tenuto il campo, ha sfiorato anche il raddoppio e poi dopo ha subito negli ultimi 20 minuti.
And Giannini's reaction to Gascoigne's tears?
E hanno pareggiato, se perdevano.
Sì, sono contento soprattutto per Paul perché è riuscito a fare il gol proprio nel derby, nella partita più importante.
Everyone's been talking about the match for 6 months. 6 months, the derby, you know. And when 3 minutes left to go, you just think, no, you know, we've got beat. But the lads battled really well to the end, and to get a goal, I'm really pleased, you know.
Well, he may have looked like he was asleep for most of the game, but bless him, when he woke up, he certainly did so with a bang. Paul's goal turns out to be the 200th in the series of games between these two clubs. But more than for that, I think it'll be for the tears and euphoria with which it was celebrated that Paul will have a lasting place in the history of this derby. The 73,504 fans have all pretty much left now, and I'm off too. Coming up is a break, after which we'll have a competition with a chance to win a trip here in Italy, a look at the paper's reaction to today's game, and a more considered response from Mr. Gascoigne himself. That's all in a couple of minutes. Welcome back. Well, time to take a look back at the Rome derby and the week's other news now with the invaluable aid of a pile of newspapers. And I have to admit that none of them were that blown away by Sunday's performance. Gascoigne, as you may imagine, got most of the headlines here in the Gazzetta. A derby of noble signatures. Giannini and Gascoigne decide a game of many nerves and little football. Talking here about his dedication and tears. In the Corriere dello Sport, a Rome-based newspaper, Rome, they counted without Gazza. In fact, most of the papers were of the opinion that Gazza might as well towards the Curva Nord was back calling for Dino Zoff's dismissal, and at the end of the game they insisted on throwing back the shirts that the players had thrown them as a sign of protest against the draw. Lazio, though, are thinking about the future, and in fact their 93 squad. They've been bidding for 2 of Italy's best goalkeepers, Sampdoria's Pagliuca and Marchigiani of Torino. They got a polite but firm refusal from Sampdoria, but Torino fans won't be at all surprised to hear that their club was considerably more eager to sell. The clubs are currently negotiating a £7.5 million deal to shift Marchigiani to Lazio. Now, meanwhile, Gianmario Caleri, the man who used to be Lazio's president until last year, may soon be back in Serie A. Caleri, whose many achievements include bringing Paul Gascoigne to Italy, and hence I suppose you could argue bringing Gazzetta Football Italia to England, is currently negotiating with Udinese president Gianpaolo Pozzo to buy the club for about £9 million. Change is also imminent, although of a less grave nature, at AC Fiorentina, who won't be sporting this fancy away strip any longer. This sad news comes after l'Unità, the communist newspaper, this week printed a letter pointing out that the away strip's design contains numerous intersecting swastikas. The club have recalled all the shirts from the shops immediately and have ordered the manufacturer's Lotto to come up with a more suitable design straight away to avoid any hint of ambiguity over what they term an unfortunate optical illusion. Well, Fiorentina's opponents tomorrow, of course, are Juventus, who've spent the week digesting their defeat by Milan with the help of headlines like Juve stops with Vialli and Bravo Capello, this one in the Corriere dello Sport. Vialli bust at the 89th minute. Now, if you were lucky enough to be watching the game last week on Channel 4, you remember a penalty 2 minutes from the end with which Juventus could have drawn the match. Afterwards, Vialli apologised to fans for the miss and admitted to reporters that yes, Milan will probably now win the championships. But he reckons that Juventus will be better off in UEFA anyway. I am convinced, he said, that when I lift the UEFA Cup, Trapattoni will actually thank me for that short run-up and miss. Well, while the gypsy blood was coursing through Madame Vialli's veins, it's a shame he didn't fill us on Roberto Baggio's future. Signora, do you still love me? Was the lament of Baggio on Sunday night on Italian television, complaining here about the lack of any support from Juventus in the recent debate about whether the club is better off without him. Baggio's had a discontented career so far at Juventus, particularly this season. But this spring he signed a contract extension which lasts till '96. But according to Roberto's remarks this week, the contract is the only thing still holding him at Juventus. In the meanwhile, of course, the sports press have come up with a series of vague rumours, most prominent of which involves a bid from Napoli. Now, Baggio is, of course, still recovering from his broken rib, and Juventus will have to do without him in tomorrow afternoon's match against Fiorentina. We'll have a full preview of that game coming up later in the programme, but before that, there's a chance to get a final look at Fiorentina's late-lamented away strip in our roundup of last weekend's Serie A action coming up in a couple of minutes. Right now, though, it's competition time.
Yes, competition time, and your chance to win a trip to Italy, a top Italian club shirt, copies of our title music, and Channel 4's new Italian football magazine. Just answer a simple question by ringing us on 0891 333 444. Our live game tomorrow comes from the Artemio Franchi Stadium in Florence, where Fiorentina entertain Juventus in the game of the day. Fiorentina, currently 6th in the table, have won the Italian Championship on only 2 previous occasions, in 1956 and 1969. But as they bid for their 3rd Serie A success this season, who is the man at the helm? Is their current manager A. Gigi Radice, B. Dino Zoff, or C. Fabio Capello? The first caller picked out by our computer when lines close next Thursday goes into a winner's draw for a dream trip for 2 to the Italian Cup final in June. They'll also take home an Italian club shirt from one of the leading Serie A teams. 5 runners-up win copies of our Football Italia music, now available on record, CD and cassette. They'll also get copies of our new Football Italia magazine, which simply everyone is reading.
Ciao, this is Football Italia magazine. If you haven't got one, if I was you, I'd go and get one, because inside is fabulous. There's features on all the top players. There's competitions to come and watch Lazio play, to meet me, and also there's a trip to see, for me, is one of the best players in the world, Ruud Gullit. We all know who Ruud Gullit is. It's a fabulous magazine. It gives you the ins and outs of Italian football.
Last week we asked you to name the Frenchman who inspired Juventus to their last title success in 1986. The answer? The brilliant Michel Platini. And the lucky winner is Mr. Carlo Rossi from Loughton in Essex, who takes home an Italian club shirt and goes into our Cup final trip playoff. And these 5 runners-up all receive copies of our Football Italia music and our terrific new football magazine. Finally, you can get full details of all our competitions by turning to page 465 of Fortel, Channel 4's teletext service. James Richardson previews tomorrow's big game later, but first Gary Bloom looks back at last weekend's goal action in Serie A.
Ancona's fans were in festive spirits against Cagliari at the Dorico Stadium. It was Ancona's last match here before moving to a new location. And were almost given an early boost. Lorenzini was allowed time and space for that effort. But it was Cagliari who took the lead after 13 minutes, albeit against a run of play. Fricano stole in for the visitors, losing his marker and almost losing his shorts in the process. Moriero crossed from the right for the sweeper to Bagoni's 2nd goal in 5 seasons. Well, just before half-time, Ancona's new Czech signing, Glonek, almost capped his home debut with a goal. In the second half, the 2 substitutes combined to create this opening. Cento Fanti almost levelling the scores. David Platt's former Bari teammate, Catcher, provided the pinpoint cross for the chance. which really should have been converted. The number 9 Agostini's reaction says it all. And Como are doing their best to give their fans a rousing send-off. Unfortunately, their best wasn't good enough. Cagliari threatened to double their lead with a rare counter-attack. Francescoli set up Moriero, but Michello's stop was excellent. The match still had room for 2 more spectacular saves. First, Yelpo kept out Dottari's free kick. And at the other end, Michello was at full stretch to deny Sana. This proved to be the last kick of the game and the last save. So Cagliari spoil the party and earn their 3rd consecutive away win. Udinese in the white travelled to Bergamo to face Atalanta, the side with the best home record in Italy's top flight, and found themselves 1-0 down after only 4 minutes. Di Sarno points a finger at his defender. Montero, the Uruguayan, points to the fans in celebration. Minardo's long pass was then instantly killed by Gantz, allowing the ageless Perrone to race through. Udinese have lost every away match this season, but only the width of the upright fooled Desideri here. Udinese's recent acquisition was determined to get his name on the score sheet. 2 minutes before half-time, Atalanta made it 2-0. Perrone's free kick was powerfully headed home by Gantz. Di Sarno blamed his teammates for Atalanta's opening goal. There's no denying with whom the fault lies for this one. In the second half, the frame of the goal denied Desideri yet again. Well, now a contender for miss of the season. Inevitably, Gantz sets up Minardo. There's not much you can say about that. Minardo once plied his trade as a fullback. It appears he hasn't lost his defensive instincts, unfortunately. It finished 2-0. Atalanta now unbeaten at home since May. Foggia and Pescara haven't met in Serie A for 15 years, and it was Pescara who almost opened the scoring, but Ferretti's lob was off the mark. Foggia lost Baiano and Signori in the summer, but Kolivanov and Biagioni are beginning to form a useful partnership of their own. Here's Kolivanov again, tormenting his opponents. Allegri perhaps should have done better here. Then early in the second half, Pescara claimed a penalty for Bianchini's handball, not given. Moments later, it was Foggia who earned a spot kick after Sieverbeck's clumsy challenge on Kolivanov. Pescara's coach had only just sent on the Danish international as a substitute. He may well regret his decision. Sieverbeck will doubtless regret his. Biagioni comfortably converts his 4th penalty in as many games. Though Pescara prop up the rest of Serie A, they do create enough chances to leave the slightest of hopes for survival. After Borgonova's effort was blocked from the resulting corner, Di Carno was unfortunate to see his shot strike at post. Foggia's goal led a charmed life on this occasion, but the home side had enough red shirts protecting the goal other than the woodwork. The game swung from end to end with the rapidity of an ice hockey game. Brian Roy going close. And then Allegri had a similar effort on goal. Before Pescara's hopes for a point ended with Borgonovo's speculative volley. 1-0 then to Foggia. It's all uphill now for Pescara. Genoa in red came into the match against Torino, desperately needing a win under new coach Gigi Maifredi following 3 successive defeats. And in former Napoli striker Padovano, they possess a striker keen to impress. Padovano on the ball here was rejected by Torino as a youngster. On the half-hour mark, the home side opened the scoring. Panucci was brought down by Casagrande. And Van Schip's free kick finally reached the captain Signorini, who scored on his return from suspension. I make it 8 Torino defenders in the penalty area. Still, Scaravi's challenge allowed the skipper to net his 2nd for the season. Genoa's joy was short-lived. 2 minutes later, Torino equalised, Sordo's shot squirmed away from the goalkeeper, and Fortunato couldn't really believe his luck. Genoa dropped ex-international goalkeeper Stefano Tacconi for the match. I wonder what he thinks about his replacement's handling of the ball here. Well, Torino's Fortunato had already found the net, but his Genoa namesake, Andrea Fortunato, failed in this attempt. Genoa's persistence told in the second half. Scoravi's header released Padovano to score his 4th of the season. Torino were without the suspended Annoni. Perhaps he'll be having a quiet word with his replacement, Musi. The game's last chance came Torino's way. Schifo's shot was superbly saved by Spagnuolo. Genoa's victorious team was soon joined by their coach Maifredi. Torino fall to their 2nd consecutive defeat. Final score 2-1 to Genoa.
More goals shortly, but first, Gaza with his thoughts on another emotional week.
Well, as you all know, I've had a very, very busy week, especially a couple of days leading up to the Roma derby. Come Sunday, come to play in it, I wasn't really nervous, I just couldn't wait for the game to start. But it probably is the biggest derby I'll ever played in and ever will do. And the atmosphere was incredible. When we're 1-0 down, I was honestly thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to eat? What am I going to, where am I going to go? I was frightened for that. Not only that, when I had that incident in the discotheque, when the other guy clumped me, I'm still a bit frightened of supporters a little bit. I don't know what they're going to do next. And when they were talking about the derby, if we don't win, we don't do that, weeks, and I was really, really frightened. The game started, the flags were rolling and everything seemed fantastic. And when I got the equaliser, I could not help but shed, I think it was really shed a few tears, not just happiness, just relief, because for these it was a lot of life and death. And people were always talking about, you must win the derby, and when people talk like that for 6 months and you get a draw, for me, I think it's the right result for Roma and Lazio derby. I hope every derby is a 1-1 or 2-2, because if it's not, I feel sorry for the other side, because what they'll have to go through is just incredible. I mean, I went to hospital to see, I've been in the hospital the last few days, and I've been seeing little Bianca. She had a little nose operation, nothing, the adenoids, because she was struggling with her breathing, and everything's fantastic with her, really pleased. And I went there and the nuns started punching us. They were Roma fans. I mean, I've never had anything like it. Nuns giving us punches in the arms. I thought you were really nice, And some of the Roma fans, and that's one for me, book getting punched off nuns and Roma fans, incredible. Really incredible. The game wasn't really very good, as it happens, as you'll probably see. I didn't really play that well. I must have had about 5 to 10 touches, and that was all. And 8 of them was with my head. But I was really pleased to get a goal. I mean, to get a goal, your first goal in the Championship in the derby, is really, really fantastic. Gary Lineker come over and seen us. He said the game was crap, which I agree with him. And I said to him, I've never played in a derby like that in my life, and it was incredible. He says, yeah, you'll get used to these atmospheres. As for Gary, he turned around, his sympathy was, well, I played in my derby opponent was like that, and I scored 3. It was simple as that. He put me right back in my place. That's Gary for you. Now, the future for Lazio is how we keep battling away. This 2 points and 1 point to draw thing is quite difficult. You find it hard to catch back up, and you don't think Milan's at this stage is going to get beat. You can only hope that they get beat, but then again, you've got to concentrate on your own performance. And I think now people are going to look to us. I think you're going to get, they want us beaten. The journalists are on our back at the moment, so all the guys have stopped, including myself, speaking to the journalists now, full stop. And now it's a matter of case sticking together as a team, and that's what's important, and getting out and hopefully winning the matches. Pescara will play tomorrow. Pescara are another tough team, but I only hope after what we've went through the last 3 games, like I said, two losses, and didn't play too well against Roma. I only hope that we can take it out on Pescara and get a good result.
Welcome back. Tomorrow's big match preview coming up. But first, the rest of last Sunday's Serie A goals.
At the San Siro, Inter entertained Brescia without first-choice strike force of Rubin Sosa and Toto Schillaci. Still, they placed Brescia's defence under pressure from the kick-off, Sama and Berti going close. Inter were rewarded in the 23rd minute. Fontelan's nod down for Berti's first goal of the season. Sama making his first appearance for 3 games provided the early cross. Brescia's defence were caught ball watching, though Berti's finish was of the highest order. Darko Panchev was the one person happy about the absence of Rubin Sosa, but after this miss, coach Bagnoli will be praying for a quick return. Brescia always struggle without their Romanian trio of Hagi, Sabau and Radu Choi, but managed an equaliser just after the half-hour mark through Giunta. Inter's inconsistent defending is a constant worry for the coach, and on this occasion one suspects his concern will extend to Walter Zenga's current form. The left wing proved Inter's most productive path to goal. Landucci's reflexes were twice tested by Sama shortly before the break. And in the second half, the goalkeeper was on hand to thwart Bergami. Brescia were unfortunate to lose Giunta with a dislocated shoulder, while Inter continued in their search for a winning goal. Battistini lacking the power in his shot to trouble Landucci, but his moment would arrive later. The ball seemed to be permanently in Brescia's half in the closing minutes, and after Sama scuffed his shot, Panchev seemed to have scored the winner, but this one was ruled out for offside. Now keep your eyes on Sama at the point of Bergami's impact with the ball there. It seemed the German was played onside by Di Paola. Still, the linesman thought otherwise. It remained 1-1. Until the 92nd minute of the match, Battistini appeared to be suspended by a piece of string to convert Bianchi's corner for his 3rd of the season. That's more than I've scored, smiles Schillaci. Inter 1-2-1 and move into second place. Italy's match of the season so far brought Milan to Turin to face a Juventus side eager to halt Milan's forward march. 3 Milan defenders were desperately trying to hold Andy Mola. Juventus were on top early on. Casiraghi's bobbling drive here just kept out by Antonioli. Then after a quarter of an hour, Juventus were kept out by an upright, with Antonioli well beaten by Dino Baggio's effort. It was a first glimpse to suggest it was not going to be Juve's day. Juventus continued to create the game's best opportunities in the second half. Casiraghi should have at least hit the target from there. Casiraghi scored 2 goals against Milan in last season's encounters. But Costacurta did just enough to distract the striker from scoring his first league goal of the season, and indeed his first league goal since the 2 teams met last in February. It proved costly. Marco Simone dummies his way past 2 defenders to score an invaluable goal for Milan. Judge for yourselves whether Simone deserves all the credit or whether the defender's comical fall was a result of poor play. Well, with 2 minutes to go and with Juventus staring at defeat, Di Canio copied his colleague's previous tumbles, but in the right penalty area. The penalty was given despite the protests of Baresi and company. Mola headed down for Di Canio, who quite clearly took a dive. There's an element of the understandable about Di Canio's dive, though, with his team so close to defeat. Well, never has Roberto Baggio's absence been so crucial, as Vialli wastes the opportunity, and so does Casiraghi on the rebound. Vialli's record from the penalty spot is mediocre at best. This is his 7th miss from 24 attempts. 1-0 to Milan, who can stop the champions now? Napoli are once again under the guiding light of Ottavio Bianchi. They face Fiorentina at the San Paolo. Well, a goal of exceptional quality coming up now. Pollicano replacing the dropped Jonas Tern, turning the entire Fiorentina defence. When you've waited 11 weeks to score your first goal of the season, this one is worth waiting for. Fiorentina's equaliser was a contentious affair. Batistuta chases the ball into the penalty area. But is this a corner? Brian Laudrup takes it. Batistuta fires it back in again. Di Mauro diverts his header past Galli. Napoli's desire to catch a Fiorentina player offside proved their undoing here. But with no defender on the goal line, Galli is bypassed by Di Mauro's header. We're coming up the first of two sendings off in this game. This one for number 3, the captain of Fiorentina, Carobi, for a deliberate push on Pollicano. Fiorentina paid dearly for that foul. Zola with this accurately struck free kick. 2-1 then to Napoli. Well, Gabriel Batistuta is one of the deadliest finishers in Serie A, but not here. Carecca then turned this way and that before burying the ball into the side netting. Here's the second sending off coming up. Tarantino for this trip on Batistuta. That was his second cautionable offence. But Fiorentina were generous to a fault here. First their offside trap breaks a catch, and then they're kind enough to give Zola the ball back. That makes it 3-1. This is Zola's 5th goal of the season, even if he did get a little help from his friends. If only you could take your offside trap somewhere to get it fixed. Carecca fixes the game for Napoli, 4-1. Carecca's speed and intelligent appreciation of the situation is the key to goal number 4 for Napoli. His nutmeg on the goalkeeper is pure cheek. Napoli win handsomely, and that's not happened very often this season. Parma in white had won all but one of their home games and must have fancied their chances against Sampdoria. They made full use of the full width of the flanks to create their chances. This one for Aspria. The one goal of the game, courtesy of Route 1 football. Who needs 11 players when 2 can do the job for you? Not too many players can outsprint Des Walker, but Aspria here joins an exclusive club. You'd expect a spirited fight back from Sampdoria. You'd have expected Lombardo to score here. Lombardo's pace was a constant thorn in the side of Parma. Lombardo thought he'd won a penalty here. Lots of protests, but no spot kick. Lombardo tried to snatch a goal which would have earned a point, but Sampdoria's visit ended in defeat. 1-0 to Parma. It's their 3rd consecutive win in Serie A.
Well, those results leave AC Milan firmly ahead in Serie A. 3 points cleared of local rivals Inter. Juventus slipped back to 3rd, a point clear of Torino and Sampdoria. Pescara and Ancona are firmly rooted at the foot of the table. Napoli, despite their thrashing of Fiorentina, are still in 16th spot because Foggia also won. None of the top scorers improved their totals last weekend, so Marco van Basten still leads from Pepe Signori and Abel Balbo. Fiorentina and Juventus both have players on the 7-goal mark, although Roberto Baggio's injured rib means he won't be able to improve on his tally when the sides clash in a live match here on Channel 4 tomorrow. James Richardson assesses the prospects for what should be an exciting game.
This is Florence, in the heart of Tuscany, cradle of Italian language and literature and home of Gucci leather goods. It's a proud and elegant city with a population to match. Around these parts, they regard their industrial cousins up north with some disdain, even in football terms, with downright loathing. Right now, the town is eagerly awaiting the annual visit of the team they love to hate. No, not the Channel 4 film crew, but in fact Juventus. Tomorrow is the match of poison, Fiorentina-Juventus. And on the eve of this most important of games, we've come to town for an audience with the European champion himself, Brian Laudrup.
When I went to Florence the first time, all the spectators here in Florence said, against Juventus you have got to win, because that's the most important game of the whole year.
The game can hardly be described as a derby. After all, Turin and Florence are almost 300 miles apart. So what is the reason then for this great rivalry? The explanation lies in the events of the 81-82 season, when a Fiorentina side chasing its third title was beaten to first place by 1 point on the last day by Juventus. Juventus took their 20th championship amid claims of match rigging by, amongst others, Franco Zeffirelli, and a lasting bitterness was born. The feud took on new dimensions, though, 8 years later, when after countless statements and denials, Fiorentina's brightest young star, Roberto Baggio, was plucked from the team by, of all clubs, Juventus. So, paying Juventus back on their yearly visits here is now an essential requirement of Fiorentine sporting life. Last year, the task fell to Gabriele Battistuta, whose goal won the undying affections of the Viola crowd. At that time, Brian Laudrup was still at Bayern Munich. His only connection with the game, the memories of his older brother Michael, winner of 2 titles with Juventus in the 80s. Events, however, were soon to involve Brian more directly.
1 year ago I was very bad injured with a knee injury, just like Gascoigne, and I didn't play that much by Bayern Munich. Then we went to Sweden. I thought I went to make some holiday, but then we went to Sweden. We went to European champions. I was playing okay, and then I got this offer from Florence, and then I said, okay, it's a great chance to go to Italy. So let's see, and now I'm here.
Laudrup isn't the only new face at Fiorentina. A busy summer on the market has brought 6 new regular starters to the team, including another ex-Munich player, Stefan Effenberg, and Francesco Baiano from Foggia. The player who's so far had the biggest impact, though, was already here last season. 21-year-old Massimo Orlando, centre-forward, the new heir to Baggio's number 10 jersey, and currently one of the hottest young prospects for Italy's national team.
Yeah, I think he's an exceptionally skillful player. I think most of the people said, yeah, now Effenberg, now Laudrup is coming, then it's very difficult for him to play in this squad. But the coach has been setting on him. He has said, you are a very skillful, very good player, and he's playing absolutely exceptionally on the left side. So he's one of the absolute key players in this team.
Both Orlando and Baiano were missing in Fiorentina's last game, the 4-1 disaster at Napoli. The team put the blame for the defeat on the more than controversial expulsion of Corobbi when the game was still 1-1. And certainly the move not only gave Napoli a man advantage, but also the lead after Zola's free kick sailed home. Fiorentina's cause wasn't helped much, though, by a dismal day from Brian Laudrup. So poor, in fact, that he was awarded 4 out of 10 by Monday's papers, the lowest marks of all the Serie A players.
I think it's often so that the foreign players here in Italy, they are exceptionally well marked or low, because I think if you're losing in Napoli with only 10 players, it's normal.
Ma un arbitro senza fortuna, dopo 30 minuti con 10 giocatori, ma non possibile fuori casa 2 punti.
A Napoli era un errore di mentalità, perché la squadra voleva pareggiare. È chiaro che fino all'ultimo momento uno deve sperare nel fare il pari, ma se si apre e dà spazio all'avversario è chiaro che un gol lo puoi recuperare, ma 2 e poi addirittura 3, insomma la cosa diventa... E sono errori, certamente.
Napoli was the latest in a series of up and down results that are confounded attempts to evaluate the team. They beat Ancona by 7 goals, only to lose 7-3 to Milan. In their best result of the season, they knocked off Sampdoria 4-0, only to go to Napoli and get beaten 4-1. So why the inconsistency?
I think because we are playing in a new way. We are playing with a 4-back line, just like in England, and we are playing very offensive with almost 3 or 4 attack players. And if we are having a very good day, yeah, we could win against all the teams, I think. But if we got a bad day or not have got this luck, you have to got luck, then you could always also lose with 4 goals. So I think we have to be more constant in our way to play soccer.
Fiorentina's style may be risky, but it's always spectacular. Their 17 goals in the first 5 home games have helped the club end a decade of anonymity and hold a regular place near the top of Serie A. Hopes are high for tomorrow's game. The 47,495-seat stadium is sold out, and Fiorentina fans from as far abroad as Spain, Belgium, Malta and Los Angeles are piling in for the big game with Juventus. Juventus are consistently one of Serie A's strongest sides, and yet they haven't managed to win here at the Stadio Comunale in Florence for 9 years. The chances of ending that streak tomorrow are considerably compromised by the fact that Platt, Cesar, Carrera and Roberto Baggio will all be missing from the Juventus lineup.
No, I think it's an advantage for us that a player like Baggio is not playing, but still they've got a very strong team, one of the best in Italy, so I think it's going to be a very tough game, but I can say it's going to be an absolutely fantastic crowd here. They are very enthusiastic. They are going to make this just like hell for the Juventus players, and I hope, of course, that that all the spectators also in England are going to see an extraordinary good match.
So, that's it for today. Don't forget, Fiorentina against Juventus, live and exclusive here on Channel 4 tomorrow. Our programme kicks off at 1:15.